2. One, and we are live.
We're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Basik Konversations with me and my boy Natty.
Hey, Yerp.
Or ThaniaBear on all social medias.
Of course, follow, please.
Yes,
Make me feel significant.
For don't want to be straying you away from all the advertisement.
Yes. And, something special about this episode, which I believe, what episode is this? Episode 8?
Episode 8.
Episode 8.
But
it's the first episode of 2024.
Hey.
Yeah. See, look at that. I told y'all I was gonna get the sound effects in here at some point. It was only a matter of time.
Is it the right one or not? We're gonna get the womp womp.
Yeah. That's the
green one.
No, wait.
Yeah.
We'll get this one at some point. You know what I mean? L jokes, all the things.
But yes, New Year.
So, normally we start out with how was our weekend, but I think something more fair that the audience would like to know was how was our New Year's.
Yes, sir.
And this New Year's was different than other New Year's.
Tell me about it, man.
Because we spent the New Year's together, my guy.
Yes,
dog. So, man, I'm gonna start this one. Okay, let me just rock this one real quick.
Yo.
So, a little bit of context for y'all, the listeners and the viewers. So, me and Basik, we're homies, right? So, whenever we try to do stuff, we hit up in the group chat, right? And usually it's a fight. Usually it's a battle. You know what I mean? Like it's never always an easy win. It's never always like, hey, we're all on the same page. Sometimes people can make, sometimes people cannot.
Yeah.
On this special occasion, it was me, Basik, and the homie CJ. Some of y'all will know him as Spaceman. Follow at Hello Spaceman. New music coming out soon. And our homie EJ Galvez, who's a phenomenal artist here in the area, he had a show. Not just any show. He has this company, this collective that he's called The Experience. And it's based out of here in Dallas. Going to be in multiple places in the upcoming years. And one of the cool things was he invited CJ to DJ for him for the night. And for those of you who don't know, this is a private event. And the cool thing about private events is they usually have some really dope form of catering, or there's usually some level of aesthetic preparation to really add a nice, panache to the evening, right? And to add to the flame, it was also New Year's. So, we got amazing food. I mean, we had a platter. We're talking from the size of this room. Like, there was salami. Yo, catch this. There was salami rolled as a rose. Salami rose.
I didn't even see rose.
Yes,
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, bro, it was like a salami rose, dude. It was so like whenever you went to,
It was by the fruits.
So yeah, it was where the fruits, bro. The fruits, man, and he had some jam. They had good jam.
I didn't even try the jam, bro.
Man, no, I really wish I had the chef's on hand because the chef was phenomenal. But the main chef, as far as like the main courses and whatnot, Will. His name is Will. He's a Michelin star chef. Phenomenal. So for those of you guys who want to have a fun, premium, decadent evening of just awesomeness, especially if you're in the Dallas area, or if you're not, fly out. Come check out The Experience. Phenomenal time. But to get to the point, so, New Year's, right? Luckily, the homie Basik was able to pull up with me and CJ. And the night starts off as it would, whenever we have a show or whatnot, we always got sound check. And then me and Basik had to do a run back to Fort Worth. And if going back from Dallas to Fort Worth, if you're from Fort Worth, is annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
But we had to do it because, we got to make sure shit can go. The show can go on.
Yes, it was a
So we had a little bit of an adventure.
Side quest, that's all it is.
Yeah, we got our XP points and all that shit. And we come back, the evening's about to start, food's getting set. The bartender arrives, which the bartender's fucking dope. So all this stuff, the night leads up.
I don't even know his name. What was his name?
I think it was Steven, but I really think that's not it. I don't want to say it.
Cool guy, though. He had a cool glove.
No, actually, he injured himself. That's why.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he injured his finger.
I was looking at it.
No, I mean, it was kind of hard, though. Look, he rocked it. But, man, dude, there was pupusas. There was this it was a quesadilla, which I want to say was a take on an El Salvadorian quesadilla, because it's like more of a bread with kind of like a cheese to it, but it's like a
I
spongy,
did eat
cheesy
that.
bread. And then there was these like
I saw like a shell thing.
I
I didn't try that.
no, okay, so those were technically dumplings, but I call them gyozas. Those may not be the same thing. So if you in the comment section, please educate us if there's a difference. But I think they were chicken dumplings. And then he also had wings.
The wings out.
Dude, Basic, man, those wings, like, y'all, we ate good in New Year's. We ate real good.
To be honest, I demolished some fucking
man,
wings, bro.
and we was wasted. Actually, I was crossed to shit, to be honest. So it was just, honestly, all around, it was a good New Year's.
Jaded and drinking,
but dancing, having a good time too. Like CJ, I mean, holding it down on the spins,
did a good job.
Playing all the remixes, hard shit, man. And then EJ's performance, immaculate.
Yeah.
I mean, the homie's just, man, he's that nigga, bro. Anyway,
He did good.
so yeah, we had a crazy New Year's. Hopefully y'all had a dope New Year's. If so, please comment down below what your New Year's was like. We would like to know. Just engage with y'all. But yeah, we don't want to harp on the intro too long because we actually got a couple cool topics today. Basic's gonna be leading us out on the first couple ones actually. So man, you got this one, B. It's all you.
All right. So first, there's a lot. I mean, if I'm gonna show anything on the other side, you will see a little bit of notes. I'm not sure if it'll be readable, but overall, this is Biden's part plays into that housing affordability crisis that we have in America. So I think I'm gonna read all these notes, but I will take my time so people could clearly understand. And then the two acts that are being implemented that the Biden administration is trying to, I guess, alleviate any stress or predicaments people are having to even buying their first home.
Lovely.
So starting 3 key factors that have driven affordability crisis in 2023. The first is home prices. To buy a $400K house median price in the U.S. home without spending more than 30% of your income, a popular rule of thumb among personal finance experts, you would need to turn an annual income of at least $109K, according to Redfin. That is up to 8.5% from 2022, and it's almost over 31. It is over 31K more than the typical household makes in a year.
Sheesh.
I mean, just before I even move on from that, I can't say all the facts and details that I've seen, but I've definitely watched plenty of clips in regards to like affordability and even people at my workplace saying they're trying to buy a house, but they're afraid to say they're having trouble saving because the rents are going up, or it's just overall interest rates are up. And
I mean, man, we're getting hit with the results of inflation kind of on every corner, it seems.
And so the second pain point is mortgage rates, which is as I just said, mortgage rates. Even myself, I got a house where not to get too much into detail, but yes, I got a house, and I feel, as much as I don't like the rate, at the same time, I feel like it's just the best as what I was gonna get at the time, because we live in Texas, and Texas is ever growing right now, especially Fort Worth, Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, even Arlington too. To be quite honest, like they're starting to build skyscrapers in Arlington just to kind of get them to compete.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's like in progress because like they got new apartment development. Yeah. They got a couple multi-house. Multi-family units being made, or some older ones being redone because of the stadium nearby. And then on top of that, there's like a hotel that's not that far off of Collins that's kind of being built.
I don't know. Did you hear that they want to open what was this? Like a WinStar? How do you say a gambling thing?
Yeah. I heard CJ mentioned it actually. Ironically enough, or Jack, I forget. Well, somebody mentioned it. One of the boys, but actually may have been Blair. Anyway, besides the point though, I have heard it from one of the homies talking about it. I'm not too privy on the details, but it's just. There's definitely a lot of development happening in the DFW Metroplex, to say the least. So it's like that and I think the reason why that is because we're getting a lot of imports from the West Coast, right? which is, you know, a lot of transplants, which is weird because normally it's the opposite where it's like, hey, you know, you're in Texas or it's your hometown, and then you're like, I gotta get out, and then you go to the West Coast, or you go to like Nashville, or you go to somewhere like New York, or Chicago even. But like now it seems like those major cities are kind of coming to, you know, the DFW area, which I mean, it's in terms of flights, DFW Airport, one, is one of the better airports in terms of just being bigger, but two,
it's cool. I've been there.
No, it's fun. Also, it seems to be a nexus for a lot of the hot cities because it's like there's not too much of a big difference to go from Dallas to elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that seems to also play a part in all of this. So that could be a factor.
That's pretty much it, man. Like that's what, right now. I mean, as I say, to be honest, people that are looking into a house in Texas overall, or even general wherever you live, I'm not sure how it is across countries. I know other countries are, you know, coming back from what is it? Inflation. They're getting their stuff back together. Think economy is doing well in other countries that I've seen reading up, and we're slowly coming back up in a sense. But obviously, everyone's still struggling. That's why buy a house as soon as you can. If you really want a house, you know, plan that stuff out, save if you need to, or see what you can do. I mean, which also leads as to a point I'm getting to. So the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate hit 8% for the first time in nearly 2 decades. Thankfully, I'm below the 8%, which is wild. 8% is fucking wild. While rates have retreated below 7% in recent weeks, it is still painfully expensive to borrow money for a home compared to the record low rate of 2.65% during the pandemic. Ooh. Don't know too much about it.
That's still a big fucking jump, though. 2.65 to 7. That's crazy.
Yeah. The 7%. Yeah. I don't know the whole record low rate of the to borrow money. I don't know too much about that.
Bad.
Finally, limited housing inventory has kept prices artificially high. This shortage is partially due to a decline in new construction as well as pandemic-driven delays, which means housing supply has failed to keep pace with the U.S. population growth and demand. With that as well, real quick, I don't want to get too much into it because I do have personal opinions about it, which was something I wrote in the last episode notes, but we didn't get to it obviously, which it's good, you know, to bring it up right now. Another reason why it's good to buy a house, people, as soon as you can. There's reasons why not to buy a house at the same time. It depends where you're trying to go at life. There is ways to invest. You know, you can invest into real estate, moving into multifamily, you know, build your income up to buy a house. So look into all your plans, but at the same time, if you can buy a house knowingly, you can handle everything that comes with it. You got to think about, there's hedge funds out there hedge funds, they like to buy houses so they can rent them out. And there is bills going through trying to stop that, but from what I've read, it doesn't seem like it'll be a possible thing because, you know, the hedge funds are, I think, part of banks or something, and
it's actually, you know, I was asking a good friend.
And so overall, these companies, they obviously put money into the economy, so they're not gonna.
Yeah. So I mean, essentially, that makes sense because like a hedge fund, just for those who don't know, is a pool of money from investors and invest in securities or other type of investments with the goal of getting positive returns. Yep. So it's essentially just a group of people who are like, hey, we have a goal of putting all of our money together, and whether it's like, you know, I'm investing in the SPY or the NASDAQ or whatever the case may be, a hedge fund is just a fund created by a multiple group of people. Okay. Specifically investors, it would seem, which investors, I mean, this is like a tangent sort of, but I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. Investors seems to be like the final evolution of like people's financial journey. Like, I feel like that's when you're at financial like freedom. Like you start out kind of like just as a citizen, you enter the 9-to-5 work race depending on what career choice you have. And usually like the American format is like you work the corporate ladder, right? So you you build a skill set or you differentiate yourself from the market in some way that allows you to grow and expand. And then you enter the ability to have that paying job, have the family, have the home. And then as you accrue all these like assets, ideally over time, you're able to have an expendable income. And once you get to that point to where you've built enough capital to where you have expendable income in the savings, now you can enter into that kind of final step of like, you know, I guess financial freedom, which is being an investor, because it's like in that in between, you're either an employee or a business owner. And when if you're a business owner, you kind of start out as like a small business, and you kind of work your way up to becoming a business, corporation, wherever your goals are, or if you want your goals to sell the business and then just live off the capital from selling the business, right? So regardless, at some point, if you do it well and do it right, you end up with expendable or disposable income. And once you at that point to where you have a consistent amount of disposable income every month, now you can enter in that role of being an investor, which, man, like banks, dude, like it's kind of crazy. Like right now, especially ever since like COVID and inflation, like if you put your money in savings, especially during COVID, you actually lost money.
Yeah, no,
it's kind of crazy, and I don't want to get too far away from the initial topic with the housing crisis, but at the same,
I have my opinion.
No, but like you know what I mean. But like at the same point, I think they all are related in that, you know, if you're listening to this and you really do want to kind of be in that position where you want to have a house, being financially literate is a very important thing.
It really is these days. Yes,
especially like I mean, tomorrow is not promised, and just the way where the government's at, where society is, not to be like the doom and gloom guy, but you know, we just have to be educated. Education is the greatest liberator of all. And especially being in this country that is a capitalistic country, although some can argue it's a neo-feudalistic country, whatever the case may be. It's some new shit. Bro, that's some new shit. Yeah, we'll say that we'll say that for another convo. But needless to say, it's like, bro, you have to be about your money, even if it's not something you may not like money. And trust me, you're talking to the one guy that's like really doesn't give a fuck about shit.
Fucking money, bro.
But it's crucial. It's money is oxygen, and to not have money, you kind of get suffocated over time. And it causes anxiety, depression, all these different things that you shouldn't need to deal with, and you don't have to deal with because the average person is capable. So definitely be about your money, y'all. But anyway, Basic,
yes.
I'll let you get back.
Damn, definitely gonna have to bring back the other top. Well, no, I'm not gonna say. But yes, back to the housing crisis. Let me see this last part.
You were on the Census Bureau, I think it was. Yeah, like kind of the growth. Yeah.
The home ownership survey revealed that the home ownership rate among Americans under the age of 35 was just 38% in the third quarter of 2023, compared to the baby boomer rate, which was near 80%. It's pretty much the younger Americans that are struggling to get a foothold in the housing ladder, and it's right here. It seems like it's going to be one of the topics for the presidential election. Unfortunately, I will admit I'm not too educated into the whole election that's been going on, besides like what's going on with Trump, some of the things Biden's done.
Which shows how good Trump is at marketing himself.
To be honest, boys they're trying to get rid of him in every possible way, but he just stands out in the end. And either way, that's why y'all should be educated on what politics is going on. I know I've always felt that voting at some point, not always actually, but voting sometimes doesn't really matter. Like it seems.
It's very difficult at times, especially if you come from like a minority background, where it's like immigrant even. It's like, dog, did that my choice matter? Because usually the choices tend to not pan out. But no, I think in recent years I'm like, no. Our voice matters, and I think one thing that has emboldened me is seeing the younger generation, like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like really be about that shit, which is really inspiring. Because millennials, kind of fake as far as like a generation is concerned. Like we'll say one thing, but are really not about shit.
Yeah.
But I do love Gen Z and Gen Alpha and how they're just like, yo, we want like affordable this, or you know, we want freedom for every same-sex marriage, shit like that. And it's just, they'll fight for it, they'll stand on it. They'll do the protests, which is beautiful, because that's kind of what this country was made for.
Yes, sir. You take full advantage of your rights as well. For real.
Full advantage.
Full advantage of your rights. So yeah, vote overall, guys. And then now to end off is the 2 acts that I read. That the most recent one is the last one, is which actually got me into the topic. Because I've seen this for a few years now with the housing crisis. I mean, I hear it. I hear it from a lot of people overall, and then even people that recently buy houses that I know. It can be a struggle. So the first one is the Affordable Housing Credit Improvement Act, which would set rents at less than 24% of the median income in the local area, increasing the number of households with access to affordable rents by 1.2 million over the next decade.
Okay.
So I assume that's going to be home rents. I'm not sure about apartment rents, multifamily units.
That's going to be very interesting because it's like it says a median income in the local area. So how are they going to, define local area?
Exactly. So that's that's your research to look up into, guys. Those that are concerned about rent and who are looking to rent for quite a while, see if that benefits you in the end. Hopefully, it alleviates some stress. This one's the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act. So Biden laid up this plan, which would promote home ownership for an additional 500 households while increasing neighborhood revitalization investments. Pretty much is because they've come to the realization that people are struggling to buy homes, be first home buyers, despite whatever else helps. Because I know when I bought my house, I definitely had I guess certain laws or like the first home buyer stuff that you get, but people are even struggling with that, helping them out. So yeah, for up to 500,000 other households, they're looking to help families to get their homes, if it's feasible to help you out. I'm not sure the full extent of those details, but again, if that is something you're interested in, and see if, who knows if there's any, I guess, how would you say, check marks you need to cross out?
Just bullet points, just this things that you want addressed, which I'm definitely going to be looking these 2 acts up after this pod, just because I am going to be looking into being a homeowner over the next 2-3 years.
Nice.
So this is shit that's going to affect me, which is also probably going to affect my voting choice.
Okay.
We'll see, because it's one thing about proposing acts, but then the implementation, which is although the role of the executive branch, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah. So it's a balance of powers.
So
these might not pass, but they're, again, it's where
we respect the effort to at least put some type of effort into helping the crisis, because it's very much a crisis it's here and it could get worse. So definitely something worth looking at. But in lieu of that, one way you can kind of prepare, just to kind of enter into preparing yourself to become a homeowner, is, investing, getting into stocks, getting into, crypto. Although this is not financial advice, but if you're getting into crypto, I just recommend kind of keeping it to Bitcoin for the time being.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Solana, I'd say do more research. I'm doing personal research on that, but it's bullish. Yeah,
and so, just from the people I talk with, once again, I'm not an expert. I just have a little bit of money here and there in different things, but those seem to be the safer ones in the space, because a lot of other coins are very volatile.
Yeah, they ain't shit.
So just be aware of that in that market as far as crypto is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, Basik had a little bit more to talk about. He had some new findings here in the stock market. So yeah, let the people know so they can kind of figure out what they got to do.
So to be honest, anybody that's watching and knows more than I do, which I wouldn't be surprised, I recently been getting back into the investment of stocks and stuff. I tried it. I was interested in high school, but it just phased away from it. I don't know. It just wasn't interesting, I guess, enough for me. But either way, getting back into it, I'm setting up a portfolio, and right now I'm just going to call out Newton Corp, NIM, Freeport, FCX, Barrick Gold. I have invested in those. Those have become my choosings. I had some other ones, but I dropped those 2 coming across this article. and it put me into the perspective just because I never really thought about it. But with EV technology moving forward, actually, before I do get into that, again, this is why copper as an investment you should look into, is because, and why I chose those three is because they do mine in gold and copper and silver as well. I think they have their own other minings as well that each one of those do, but overall they have those three similarities, and all three of those are pretty worthy investments. But again, experts do predict that copper would outshine gold by 2025 in prices. And in reading this article, I didn't end up agreeing, just because of the fact I read the article. It was tagged to an NBC article, I think. And so these are the notes that were taken. The world's decades to catch on to the fact that fossil fuels are destroying the planet, so much that copper, a key component of electric cars, turbines, and solar power systems, is in short supply, which does bring it back to the COP28 summit, which when I did read that part, it was, I can't believe it never clicked in my head, especially thinking about Tesla and this. I do have a stock. I have a stock in Rivian just to see where it goes. Again, it's good to expand our portfolio and decide what you do want to do. But Rivian is another producer of electric cars. But anyways, it brings it back to the COP28, where demand for copper will probably double by 2050. And because of the conference, where more than 60 countries were in favor of a plan to triple global production capacity for renewable energy by 2030. So they still have a goal of 2050, as I cited in a previous episode. But again, they're trying to, now as stated, they're trying to triple the production, because from the last conference, they realized that they were almost not near what their original goal was, or not on track to what it's supposed to be for 2050. And then other than that, just like why you should care, again, prices could rise in the long run for copper. And other than that, the reason I chose NIM, FCX, and gold is because, again, they support gold, copper, and silver. So again, guys, I suggest you look into investments if you're not already doing it. And if you're already doing it, look into these as you know, your plan or your portfolio, and see if they fit within your future or your investments.
Sheesh, yeah, I know for sure I'm gonna be looking into the copper stuff, and I'm gonna be running it by my homies that are in stocks to see kind of what I should do.
Okay.
But given that, we actually got we got some quick stories actually. We kind of run by. These are some cool, just smaller articles that we came across that are, I don't know, we just think that things that were interesting to us, and things that affect friends of ours and people that we know, loved ones that we know, and just kind of wanted to share them with you. So like this first one we got is actually pretty, I guess it's the religious topic, if you will, more socio-political, but it's dealing with our good friend of the Pope. So check it out. The article title reads, "The Pope says the Roman Catholic priests can bless same-sex couples," which this is a very interesting development. Just because typically, whenever it comes to same-sex couples and marriage, the traditional sort of value or the communication of marriage is usually between a man and woman, which I am not entirely sure of the original origin, although I do believe the Judeo-Christian faith plays a part in the Western societal understanding or the context of marriage, at least the way it's implemented. To my knowledge, I could be totally wrong, but in this case, to have that same institution or a part of that same institution, that's essentially granting that, which was normally a non-tradition. Me, as someone who's kind of like grown up with a very heavily religious background in a Protestant denomination, mind you, but still like with enough context to know that this is pretty this is a very interesting topic to say the least, because it's been a very touchy subject for the church at large.
It really has.
And so I'm just going to just do a quick read of this article just for y'all, and then we're just going to kind of discuss about it. But this article is actually off BBC News by Ido Vok. So shout out to Ido Vok. And it was written on the 18th of December. So keep that in mind, y'all. This is end of last year. Yep. So Pope Francis has allowed priests to bless same-sex couples. It's a significant advance for the LGBT people in the Roman Catholic Church. So the leader of the Catholic Church said priests should be permitted to bless same-sex and I quote, irregular couples under certain circumstances. But the Vatican said blessing should not be a part of regular church rituals or related to civil unions or weddings. It added that it continues to view marriage as between a man and a woman. Now, Pope Francis approved a document issued by the Vatican announcing the change on Monday, which keep in mind, December 18th. So this was relatively towards the end of December. Okay. The Vatican said it should be a sign that God welcomes all, but the document says priests must decide on a case-by-case basis. Introducing the text, Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, the prefect of the church, said the new declaration remained firm on traditional doctrine of the church about marriage. But he added that in keeping with the Pope's pastoral vision of broadening, both of those in quotations, the appeal of the Catholic Church, the new guidelines would allow priests to bless relationships still considered sinful. And then as we continue, people receiving a blessing should not be required to have prior moral perfection, according to the declaration. The Pope suggests the church could bless same-sex couples. Now, in the Catholic Church, a blessing is a prayer or a plea usually delivered by a minister asking for God to look favorably upon the person or the people being blessed. Cardinal Fernandez emphasized that the new stance does not validate the status of same-sex couples in the eyes of the Catholic Church. The declaration represents a softening of tone from the Catholic Church, although not a change in position. And in 2021, the Pope said priests could not bless same-sex marriages because God cannot bless sin.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Pope Francis had suggested in October that he was open to having the church bless same-sex couples. Bishops in certain countries have previously allowed priests to bless same-sex couples through the position of church authorities remaining clear. Now, I'm actually going to chime in on this because I grew up, for those of y'all who don't know, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. I am a third-generation Seventh-day Adventist. Now, that being said, do I practice my faith the same way as others? And would some say I am a, air quote, Badventist? I would say yes. I disagree with certain precepts of the faith, not off of the context of just my feelings, but rather I feel certain traditions and doctrines are mostly traditions, because the doctrines I tend to not really disagree with, but there's a lot of traditional cultural things that seep into the theology and the practices of the church that muddy the truth that is within the church. And keep in mind, Seventh-day Adventism is a Protestant offshoot of Baptist. So, we're still quite different in some of our fundamental beliefs in relation to the Roman Catholic Church, but what we all share in just those who share a Judeo-Christian kind of background in general, which Catholic Church shares, the history of it anyway, is the context of marriage, because the marriage was actually instituted in the first book of the Bible, Genesis. So it's actually it goes back to the beginning, right? Where it's like God made man, and man sure wasn't fit to be alone. He made man do work by naming the animals, and then man realized all the animals have a partner, but I don't. And then God then caused man to go to sleep, took his rib, which is a very important point. He didn't take a bone from his head. He didn't take a bone from his feet. He took a bone from his rib to symbolize equality and servitude. And then he made woman. Obviously a bit, romanticized and dramatized for the modern, postmodern world. But in the context of this article, and why I think it's very interesting, because it depends on what lens you're looking at this conversation from, right? Because let's say you're looking at this lens from, the religious standpoint, specifically the Christian or the Catholic kind of standpoint. You're actually, I would assume, because I want to see more of the reaction of the public, but just because I know and grew up around the church, I would assume there's actually more of an outrage in terms of just allowing the permissiveness of the act, because it's something the church has been pretty adamant about staying true to, just because it's just the nature of the Bible and its stance on homosexuality, which in my readings and my scholarly findings, and when I say scholarly, I mean I've been reading books by other people who are smarter than me on this topic. The Bible, although is clear on being against a lot of sexual immoral behaviors, a lot of the texts and passages used to show that the homosexual nature is an abomination, typically the Sodom and Gomorrah story, I would say are horribly not contextualized in the right context. It's a lot of random words, and what I mean by that is essentially they're not right. Like in the case of Sodom and Gomorrah, the stance wasn't against homosexuality, but rather sexually assaulting others and disrespecting others and trying to sodomize, quite literally, men to show power. So that was the abomination in that case. For those of you who want to discuss about it, feel free to hit me in my DMs. I would love to talk about it. But just to like give that context, like there's still like a moral gray area in the church on this conversation.
What does sodomized mean?
Essentially, like, putting up the butt.
Oh, okay.
But like I think forcibly.
Okay.
And I think it's also usually considered a homosexual act, but in terms of male to male. But besides that point, just this in general, I feel like from the religious standpoint, it's being received probably with a lot of negative.
And I see that.
Just because of the history, you know what I mean?
Overall religions, and it's like this has always been a set thing, and it seems like
a principle.
It's an overall principle, and now you're opening it up a little bit, even if you think it's not that big of a deal. Like now you're going against what you've always stood for,
and it's very nuanced too, because the way they say it in this article, it's like they're able to bless same-sex couples under certain circumstances, right? What are those certain circumstances? What are you moving the goalpost for, right? Tough to say when dealing with things of principle, because if you're looking at this from a worldly perspective, I'm pretty sure you're elated. I'm pretty sure like everyone's like, oh yeah, the church is finally progressing with the times.
Yeah.
Which I can understand that perspective from outside looking in. Totally get it, right? Like an institution that most would say is predicated upon control and manipulation, and devoid of love that it purports it has. So I get that. And, also I understand the church trying to find a way to be relevant in the modern day, because in the past, the church was leading in a lot of the industries of the time. And now in modern era, the church isn't leading in a predominant amount of any of the industries, maybe in the entertainment, but even then not so.
Yeah.
So, it's a very interesting article, and we just wanted to bring it to you as a quick story, because it was just fascinating, like it's kind of one of those topics that you just kind of come across and it's like, this happened. Okay, cool. I'm very curious to see kind of where this goes. Now, Basik, I almost want to open it up a little bit just to be like, okay, given that this has been one of those hard topics, right? In the past, just because, the LGBTQ movement has been dealing with a lot of struggles in recent years, especially now in Texas, with a lot of not just LGBTQ actually, but a lot of racial tension, right? Like in terms of education, like just taking a lot of history out of the schools and whatnot. I see.
What do you know about that? I don't know. I know there's some stuff that's been getting taken out of like school textbooks, but I don't know details.
It's inclusive programs, so it's like racially inclusive programs, and there was one dude. I was actually just reading it 2 days ago, and it's essentially like in college campuses, a lot of the initiatives they have for minorities and others are being discontinued or just being unfunded, stuff like that. And then in schools, they are trying to take out literature that deals with just anything dealing with racial. What's the terminology they were throwing around? It was what is this? Not racial history, but it's like a term that has been used a lot in a lot of the stories that deal with slavery and just Black American history. Just a lot of those
segregation, right?
No, not segregation in particular, but it is the topic of it is it's under that It's like it's under that umbrella of the term.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't know the word.
No, yeah, I don't know the word either, but it's essentially like literature on those topics is being taken out of schools even, or taken out of education programs. So it's like they normally have classes that educate you specifically on that history, and they're discontinuing it for whatever reason. And to me, that is a symptom of what history always is, which history is written by the winners. The unspoken rule of history is you don't get to name it if you lost. You know what I mean? So because of that, a lot of times things that may be not true, or, you know, a group of people that may not be a necessarily inherent problem, their history can be wiped.
Yeah.
If a power is powerful enough, if a government's powerful enough, you know, to make that decision for, I mean, there's so many variety of reasons, but ultimately to maintain control, right? Yeah. So actually on that topic of control, it actually sort of leads us into our next topic of, the next quick story rather, from outside of the same sex couples into like facial recognition, because that's another thing. Actually, this was kind of scary. What's it called? Basik was actually telling me about it. It was this article dealing with like the FTC and what is it?
You said a lot of shit right there, man.
Yeah,
that was gonna be a whole different conversation.
Dude.
I was like, "Fuck."
No, I mean, we could. I mean, it depends. Like, what are you thinking?
I mean, overall, like in that aspect, yeah, it's as I said before, money and power to control everything. So unfortunately, yeah, like it's sad to see the control of things and how in the end winners, the rich. The background groups, they overall, you know, tamper with, you know, the how do you say the structure of society?
Yeah, large.
It really is to an extent, man. That's your research, and that's why overall be educated. Like,
yeah, I've even we fail at that sometimes, to be honest. Yeah, you know,
like play the game.
Yeah, very much.
Like, guys, it's. Like I've told people, I have an idealistic view, but I do see like the real side of things, and like how earlier, you know, Natty described money is
oxygen.
It's an oxygen. So get it.
Yeah, you need
like, get your educated, like assets.
That's
please. A great start. Assets is the greatest start.
Know the difference actually between a liability and an asset, right?
Yes.
Which the book that's from is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki. Questionable character in recent years, but that book and the principles in that book are something you can really take and leverage for your own financial education.
Yep. That's definitely a great book. I haven't read it yet, but everyone always recommends it. So that's definitely a great start if you want to, you know, begin at least get some sort of insight to financial literacy.
For sure.
But I mean, yeah, that's my take. I feel like we could go further, but
yeah, I mean, I think this is still related to it. To be honest with you, kind of.
The facial, yeah.
Yeah, like which I mean, you can run this one if you want to. Basically,
yeah, real quick, before Natty gets into more of the details of it, but overall, so I brought this as a quick topic for facial recognition, and it was because of the article. The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, bans Rite Aid from using facial recognition technology out of proposed settlement. I do not know what that settlement is, but we may find out within this article. But overall, the basis of it is Rite Aid, they were using facial recognition, and it was just like not catching it the way it should, and it was just causing a bunch of issues with customers and databases overall.
Oof. Okay, so let's find out more. So this article was actually written yesterday, by the way, January 3rd, 2024.
Oh, nice.
And it's by Kimberly Redmond. So shout out to Kimberly Redmond. We're about to read your article. Shout out to you. So the FTC bans Rite Aid from using facial recognition technology under proposed settlement, following charges that its artificial intelligence powered surveillance system lacked appropriate safeguards and falsely tagged customers as shoplifters. Tough. Rite Aid has been prohibited from using such technology for the next 5 years, according to the Federal Trade Commission. So, as a part of a newly proposed settlement, the Philadelphia-based pharmacy chain will also be required to implement a robust information security program overseen by its top executives when deploying automated systems that use biometric information to track or flag consumers as security risks. Excuse me. Now, but if Rite Aid fails to show it can't control potential risk to consumers, the FTC said the company must permanently discontinue the use of the technology, which is fair. Okay. Now, for the FTC, the order marks its first move to regulate biases in AI technologies and follow a warning last May that the agency would be closely monitoring any automated systems using biometric information. In a statement, Samuel Levine, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, said, Rite Aid's reckless use of facial surveillance systems left its customers facing humiliation and other harms, and its order of violations puts consumers' sensitive information at risk. Levine went on to say he believes the groundbreaking order makes clear that the FTC will be vigilant in protecting the public from unfair biometric surveillance and unfair data security practices. Sounds
good. Go FTC.
Yeah, shout out to them, which so far on their side, at least they're doing the best they can to really rectify this.
I mean, I know a lot of companies are trying to regulate AI as best as they can. It's going to be a struggle for the AI companies. Because real quick, I mean, to get just like I know the regulations are like it has a lot. They want like a lot of reports of every I guess what the analysts or the engineers do. Like they're trying to regulate it as best as they can. So I can only imagine now with these regulations how these companies are gonna struggle trying to keep track of all these data.
No, for sure. I mean, it's a tricky situation. It was kind of like what happened with Apple and a couple of other phone companies when people realized that they were data mining their information. Whenever you logged in, they were tracking your data and all that shit. Okay. Facebook had to deal with that. I think it's Loki still dealing with it. I think, Meta, I guess now. But so this is all kind of in context with that. So just continue the article. In a complaint filed in the U.S. District of Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, the FTC alleged that from 2012 to 2020, Rite Aid deployed facial recognition technology in hundreds of its retail pharmacies across several states to identify customers it had previously deemed likely to be shoplifting or engaging in other criminal activity. But the chain failed to take responsible measures to prevent harm to consumers who, as a result, were erroneously accused by employees of wrongdoing. And because of the technology flagging them as matching someone who had been previously identified as a shoplifter or other troublemaker, the complaint said. So, I mean, that's just tough as is, right? I mean, just imagine you're shopping, getting your Vicodin or whatever the fuck.
Tackle him.
He's like, that man's a murderer.
Freeze.
Just, done.
Yo.
Mad thing.
I'd be pissed as fuck that day. It got tased.
Dog, there's no day I would be happy getting
I wonder what the security.
Okay, never mind.
Has. I wonder. Baton. Oh, yo.
Dog, God, nah, man, that shit's hurt, man. Them niggas gonna break a bone for real.
Fuck that.
Nah, couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. Those individuals were detained, dog, or searched by employees. Okay, dude. If it's one thing if it was like the security guy, but if it's a Rite Aid employee, I'm fighting your ass. I don't give a damn. Like you are not about to.
Footage.
No, I need to see that shit.
I want to see how people were detained.
I'm very curious. So they were detained or searched by Rite Aid employees, subjected to increased surveillance, publicly accused for criminal activity, reported to the police, and in some cases banned from entering or making purchases at stores.
Ooh.
Also multiple, the FTC alleged. So this facial recognition technology was more likely to generate false positives at stores within predominantly black and Asian neighborhoods.
I did read that too.
Go figure, right?
Yeah.
Then in predominantly white communities where 80% of the Rite Aids are located. The FTC added, the Rite Aid's actions subjected consumers to embarrassment, harassment, and other harm, the FTC said. Now, the company did not inform consumers that it was using the technology in its stores, and employees were discouraged from revealing such information. Employees acting on false positive alerts, followed by consumers around the stores, searched the house, searched them, ordered them to leave, called the police to confront or remove consumers. and publicly accused them, sometimes in front of friends or family, of shoplifting or other wrongdoings. In its complaint, the FTC also said Rite Aid violated a 2010 data security order with the commission by failing to adequately implement a comprehensive information security program. Among the shortcomings, not inquiring about the accuracy of its technology before using it, preventing the use of low quality images, neglecting to train or oversee employees tasked with operating the facial recognition technology, or including procedures for tracking the rate of false positive matches. Now, using technology from 2 undisclosed vendors, Rite Aid maintained a database of at least tens of thousands of individuals that included images from security camera footages, driver's licenses, or government IDs, along with data such as names, years of birth, and information related to criminal or dishonest behavior which individuals had allegedly engaged. Wow. Crazy. And as a part of this proposed settlement, the FTC said Rite Aid must order third parties to delete images or photos collected by its facial recognition systems, notify shoppers when biometric data is collected or used in connection with its security or surveillance systems, amongst other requirements. Following these announcements, Rite Aid has issued a statement saying it was pleased to reach an agreement, but disagrees with the claims that the technology was misused.
Nah.
It's like, of course, right? We respect the FTC's inquiry and are aligned with the agency's mission to protect consumer privacy. However, we fundamentally disagree with the facial recognition allegations in the agency's complaint. And then the company said in a statement, the allegations relate to a facial recognition technology pilot program that the company deployed in a limited amount of stores. Rite Aid stopped using the technology in this small group of stores more than 3 years ago, before the FTC's investigation regarding the company's use of the technology began, the chain stated. Looking ahead, we're focused on important actions underway to strengthen our financial position as we continue providing leading healthcare products, services to nearly 1 million customers that we serve daily, it added. The settlement is subject to approval by the U.S. Bankruptcy Court of the District of New Jersey, which is overseeing Rite Aid's ongoing restructuring. Rite Aid, the nation's third largest drugstore chain, filed for bankruptcy in October 23 amid slowing sales, rising debt, and lawsuits. They got the money
for this.
Sheesh, yeah, alleging it's contributed to the U.S. opioid epidemic. Yeesh. And as a part of the process, Rite Aid has made moves to shrink its retail footprint, announcing plans to close nearly 200 stores across the country, including a dozen in New Jersey. I mean, dog,
out the window.
To be honest with y'all, the summation of all that, Rite Aid thought it could get away with some bullshit. They didn't get away with some bullshit. The FTC caught them after the fact.
We fundamentally disagree.
Dog, man, that's like the dude in the, that's like the contrarian guy in the conversation that's always trying to be like extra, just saying some shit just to say some shit. So anyway,
no,
we've had some pretty heavy topics here. We're gonna end the quick stories on something not as heavy, but still kind of heavy in terms of. I mean, no, this could be actually very heavy, but we're gonna.
I think there's a lot of opinions on this.
Oh man, you're telling me. So before we go into anything crazy, there was a video dropped by artist Dax.
Which I'm interested in seeing.
From what I saw on clips on social media, I thought he had a feature on this record, but it looks like it's just him.
Okay.
Now, we're going to react to this.
Yeah.
So for some of the listeners that are listening to the audio, you may or may not be listening to the actual reaction, so you're probably just going to hear us cut to our reaction. But for those of you who are on Patreon and our exclusive servers, you will be hearing this full in real time.
Yes, sir.
So without further ado, we are going to rock this vid.
When did this video come out? I may have seen this.
Let's see. Eight months ago.
Okay, I don't think I. Looks.
Is to be a man by Dax. To Be a Man by Dax. Go listen to it. I'm just gonna get my musical opinion out the way first. I don't think it's like the craziest song.
No.
Just getting that out the way. You know, cool, whatever. Dope. We got that out the way.
Yeah.
But this lyrical content, it really hit me. It got me thinking. Not thinking in the sense of I haven't thought this shit before.
Yeah.
But you know, like the question, what does it be a man in 2024? Right? And you know, I understand the struggle in the feminist movement, in the sense of not so much equality in the sense of everything needs to be equal, but in the sense of opportunity, right? Like if I want to earn a certain amount, I should be able to earn a certain amount, yada, yada, right? I think in recent years, because there has been such a heavy push, almost an extremist push towards, you know, just allowing the feminist agenda to just do as it may in certain cases, which some would argue it's not done at all, which I would disagree. But is there space for men in 2024? My answer to that is yes, there is, but it's very difficult because in the modern society, we're kind of the backbone of it. Because usually, whenever these conversations happen with like, you know, what does a man provide? What does a woman provide? All this stuff. When the question usually comes to the women to be like, hey, would you be willing to pick up construction work, infrastructure work, you know, like these oil jobs, right? You know, the conversation then goes, oh, that's a man's job, right? And it's like, that's very privileged of you to want equal opportunity and all these other jobs that can conveniently be done by any gender. But then when these specific jobs that are only inherited for men, not only is there no remorse for the things that happen in war being one of them, right? But obviously women go through war too. They have their own struggles with it, which I don't think many talk about.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, there's just this interesting conversation where it's like, what does it mean to be a man? What do we go through? Are homies good? You know what I mean? Like, are men doing well?
Are the homies good?
And this song just kind of paints a picture. It's like, yeah, as a man, sometimes we just keep shit in because women just don't know how to not listen and just listen for listening's sake. It always comes back in an argument after the fact to criminate the man or destroy him. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Because for me, I mean, I love that it's addressing it and still keeping the conversation going. Like, hey, we go through bullshit and it's very difficult for us to share because society tells us we need to do this. Like, this is our requirement. And that shouldn't be the case in the sense of we should also be able to be heard and appreciated and loved, which I think some families do have that, but it's not a commonality, which is why songs like this exist.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, to me, to be in a man in 2024 is a difficult thing because society is kind of against you, you know?
Yeah.
Marriage laws, you know, child support. Like, I mean, so many things legally are very demotivating for a man in this day and age to want to have a family, to want to have these traditional things that would otherwise be the case. And I think you can speak to this, you know, more so, Basic. So, I mean, I was curious on your thoughts on all this.
I feel like this could go very many ways, though. God damn. Like, I would still like to know what you overall think a man is, but I'm gonna get into like there's equality. Now what I feel overall is just if I can, I'm for like the patriarchy side of things, not in terms of like full complete control. Like, I support like independence in a woman. I actually watched an episode of I think it was Earn Your Leisure, and they talked to this one woman. She's like 30 something. She has businesses. She makes a lot of money overall, and she's been divorced once, and she's trying to have a baby soon, but you know, through, I guess, I think she's gonna do like the sperm thing.
The sperm donation.
So like they're getting into that topic and stuff like that, and she you pretty much had high standards for a man. And so now it's just placed into so many terms of like, what is a man? And I think overall, man in a personal reference, I think that's what you should, all men out there, you should like look at what you think as a man is, like how you view yourself and what you want to be as a man. And either if you're not there yet, be content with where you are and work towards that, vision of a man. Now and then romance wise or I don't know. It's just I feel like there's a lot of things. You want to be a leader as a man. What I feel, you do want to express yourself, and you don't want to hold stuff in either. Obviously, you want to find those people that you share that stuff with, and thankfully, like I have people I have been able to share things with. I don't think it makes you weak to share things or to cry. First of all,
I don't think so either.
I always let the homies know that actually, divulge their thoughts and things like that. Or if I see like, hey, you can cry, man, this and that. Or if I notice someone down, either I'll leave it alone or I'll try to dig into it, depending where we are. I'm very much a personal, conversational person. I don't like to call people out if they're angry, sad, depressed. If I see something in them and we're a group of people, I wouldn't really call it out because sometimes people are they don't want to be called out in public.
It's just they just want to kind of be, in their cocoon.
And so that's why I say, it's okay, guys, to, it's okay to call the homies, you could open up to someone, and if it doesn't work out, then you know who not to talk to. But now, regards to like women and stuff like that, again, where I'm for the patriarchy is more my idealistic version of being a man, in which I hope to achieve that level is like I would, because I've experienced it. First of all, I would love to be able to take care of my wife. There was a point where with my son's mom, I was paying for everything, and I mean, it was nice to have, her at home with our son. So in that standpoint and having a family, and yes, you do want to be careful who you want to, like with the abortion topic, if you're going to have like consensual sex without protection, I mean, it better be someone that you're in love with.
Yeah, at the very least, someone you could, see a somewhat of a relationship with outside of intimacy.
And so,
I mean, for physical intimacy, right?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, as a man, you want to envision yourself as the man you want to be. And then if you're looking for love, you want to find that person who will accept that vision of you as a man.
Yeah, be aligned with it for sure.
Because I've been on the side where a man pays for everything. And then I've been on the side where like 50-50, which I love both. And if you find a woman that's 50-50, I mean, that's just a steal overall, especially in this day and age, because now we're back to the feminism, congratulations. But I've also seen, I'm also meeting a lot of women these days who are they want to be taken care of to a point. And it's just like, I feel like it's selfish to an extent sometimes. But again, I do respect everybody's opinions, of course. And your standards are your standards. But me, after experiencing like a woman who's like all for, not equality, but just overall sharing the journey or the way, actually checking up on like how a man feels, like a woman that actually understands like a man's going through shit, and they're willing to just be there for them and, just overall be there. It's hard to describe it, but like a woman that actually is there for you and takes care of you, you'll know, and you wouldn't want to let go of that overall. But yeah, being a man, I say a man overall, you want to be a leader, you do want to be wise, but you want to get in touch with your like divine feminine side. I'm very big on the spirituality. You want to get in touch in your divine masculinity, of course. Which again, being a leader, strong, wise, and it doesn't have to be like physically. These words could, play into mental or financial, again, physical, of course, or many aspects.
I definitely think it touches many aspects for sure.
Shit, I kind of strayed away, but I lost train of thought. But overall, like, yeah, you want to get in divine your divine feminine. You want to get into the spec. Share your thoughts. Find those people you entrust those thoughts with, those feelings with, because
it takes time.
There's snakes out there for real.
Yeah,
people will use, and again, it's with women too, but overall, people, they will use your emotions against you. They will use your past against you. You confide in them. The manipulating, gaslighting, etc. You just gotta learn how to read people.
Yeah, no, I mean, you really, you kind of do, and I think a part of that comes in. We talked about it earlier, but it's with educating yourself. It's with taking those opportunities, and sometimes, and young guys, this is a tough one, but you got to bite this. Sometimes educating yourself is doing the thing and potentially failing or not getting the outcome you want, and learning from that experience. So do not shy away from trying. Do not shy away from putting yourself in the fire. To love.
Yeah, be a man.
And I'm saying that to myself too, because that's something I ran away from, and I'm still low-key running away from in the sense. Now I'm just more career focused and more personal develop focused. But yeah, guys, like, emotional vulnerability is not a problem. It's a necessity, but because you are a man, it will be used to take advantage of you. So you have to be wise enough, smart enough to surround yourself with the right people. So yeah, I mean, I didn't want to go too much on that, because that could be a whole other pod.
It is, man. That's a whole subject, like, because there's so many.
Yeah, there's so many facets to it. But because we're running shorter on time on this pod, because we do want to keep one of our cameras are kind of lower.
Yeah.
We're actually gonna hop into the music reaction section super quick, and I got one artist lined up, and we kind of have some rapport. So I may be biased in this. I don't care. His name is Michael Motorcycle.
Michael Motorcycle.
Hell yeah, Michael Motorcycle. Dude's dope as shit. Does all of his production. Actually, hold on. Literally does his own production, does his own writing. Man's like a one-stop shop. And I personally enjoy a lot of his content. He's a memer at heart, but a musician and creative too. Okay. And so we're actually going to be playing one of his songs off of his latest album called 3. It dropped end of last year. And I mean, I'm listening to all of this kind of as things go on. But for those of y'all listening, I want to play you at least a snippet during our music reaction section. Yerp. And this one is called Fest. Hold on, let me start from the top. I'm about to say, we about to get in.
Club.
I say, not so fast, I'm riding through the streets with my Glockiana.
Just to give a taste of this project. Dang. Yeah, so that right there wraps up our music reactions. I hope you guys enjoyed some of those records. In closing, because we're about to reach our limit here, Basik, you got anything you got to tell the people? We got like maybe 10 more, but cool. But in closing, how we got to let the people know?
Man, nothing else. I feel like this was a nice one. Invest, guys. Do your research. Get educated. Be a man.
Yeah, love on your men.
Love your brothers.
Keep them in contact. Don't disregard them. And women, please understand, we have emotions too. We just hide them shits. Yes. So be respectful. But yeah, I guess on that note, we're wrapping up episode 8. We'll see y'all on the next one. Yes.
Jesus.
Another one in the books. All right.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. It's a good pod.
That was a good one.
Good pod. Let's see. Ooh.
What? How much now?
This one probably stopped recording at some point.
Oh, no.
Because it says standby.